My name's Will DeFries, and this is the Sunday Scaries podcast, your cure for the Sunday blues. If there's one thing that brings me a sense of calm, it's a routine. My Sundays normally all start pretty much the exact same way. I wake up, make a cup of coffee, I settle into the couch to do some work, and then I turn on that morning's slate of English Premier League games. Soccer has been in my life for as long as I can remember, from playing as a young kid and into high school, watching the U.S. men's national team in the World Cup, and supporting Manchester United since 1999. Simply put, the game and the culture surrounding it calms me in a way that's difficult to really describe. This past English Premier League season, I spent more mornings than I can count with NBCSN commentator Tim Howard on my television. Former Everton and Manchester United goalkeeper, legendary U.S. men's national team goalie, and current minority owner and sporting director of Memphis 901 FC, he's found his way into my routine throughout the years, and now he's found his way into the panic room. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Howard. All right, Tim, it's been a long time coming getting you on this podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Finally. Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me, man. I'm super excited. This is I'm kind of starstruck. I listen every week, so this is cool to be on.
I guess you know how I feel the first time I saw you share one of the posts from the Instagram page. I was like, oh, okay, now we're talking.
I mean, listen, that's what everyone's friends now because Instagram makes the world go round. So, no, that's cool.
Before we started recording, we were talking about how you're up early every single morning. You're going at 5 o'clock Eastern time when you're hopping on TV in the mornings. Yeah. You're traveling all the time. And one question I have is, how do you find time to do these crossword puzzles so thoroughly every single time?
Well, that's kind of my airplane go-to is your podcast. And because most of the time I don't get to listen on a Sunday. And then, just knock out the crossword. I'll be honest with you. I've been in a good rhythm lately. Probably a year before that, 2 years, I hadn't finished one. And I've recently finished a bunch, so maybe I need to upgrade from USA Today to Wall Street Journal.
You've inspired me a little bit. I recently subscribed to a new newspaper, and I've been doing their mini crosswords, trying to amp up my game so I can start comparing to you a little bit.
It's all about the training.
It's tough. When you're flying, what's in your carry-on bag? What are your little remedies to make sure you're comfortable when you're going?
Great question. It's like clockwork. I got this tote bag that I take with me, and my laptop's in there, of course, because I have to do work. Some semblance of a scarf because I'm sleeping all the time as well on planes, and it gets cold. And then lots of protein bars. I get bored when I travel, so I somehow find the urge to get hungry, even though I know I'm not. So keep some healthy snacks in the bag and headphones. Usually an extra pair of shoes. Yeah. That's
probably a good mix of things. You don't want to have to go into Hudson News and pay like $13 for one of the protein bars that they have in there.
No, that's always the case too.
Something I've enjoyed about you lately and just all the time is that you enjoy dressing up a little bit, and retail therapy is definitely one of the running themes of this show when it comes to curing some of the anxiety that Sunday can bring. How did you get into fashion? What's your personal style all about?
I don't know if I've always just kind of loved fashion. I love fashion icons, and I look at Lenny Kravitz and I just melt, and I'm thinking, how can one human being be so perfect? And he's got this incredible style, and I obviously lived in Europe for 13 years, and so their style is so incredibly different than Americans. And so, once I figured out what worked for me in terms of stylistically, sizing, then I really got into it.
What are some brands that you've been looking at lately? I know it's spring season. I'm having the worst time trying to find some shirts to wear out these days. What have you been shopping lately?
I heard you talk about that. I have categories, right? So when I'm kind of casual, I just want to hustle down the street. I'm usually in Rude or Kith. Those are my go-tos. Amy Leon Dore, which is just knocking out of the box in Soho. That's more casual every day. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say YSL, Saint Laurent. That's my ultimate. That's every good piece I have is YSL.
I'm not saying that you have any misses because I haven't seen any yet. But is there anything that you've gotten over the last few years where you've put it on and been like, oh man, that might not have been the best outfit?
I think we all have misses. I try and keep it simple now. We all have misses. I remember about a couple of years ago, I lived in Denver. Denver's an amazing place. It has my heart. Brilliant. But there's no dressing up in Denver. And I bought this jacket. It was from YSL, and it had all types of. It was like dancing gear. I could only wear it out. And I bought it, and I bought it in New York, and I got it back to Denver. And I literally looked at it in my closet, thought there's not a place in the city of Denver that I could possibly wear this to. So it's still in my closet, and I'm waiting to wear it in New York sometime.
That's my entire issue is that I always want to bring everything I own whenever I go to a new city. And if that city does not have like the vibe of what I brought, I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. I have to have backup plans. And so I always end up bringing something that's like super dressed down for places like Austin or Denver and things like that. And then I have to bring really nice stuff. It's just a double-edged sword.
Look, for me, I also follow the rule of Johnny Cash, right? Black T-shirt, black jeans, black boots, and it's kind of like that can be seen as dressing up or dressing down. Throw a shirt over the top of it, and usually you can't miss.
A few years ago, I actually went to New York for work, and I actually went to the Aimé Leon door store, and I thought to myself, every single person in New York right now is wearing a black T-shirt, and it's time that I get my first black T-shirt in a long time. And ever since, it's pretty much my go-to outfit every single day.
It's comfortable. It's sleek. It's casual. It's pretty easy.
You kind of touched on this a few minutes ago when you talked about the style influence when it came to living in Europe for so long and traveling around there. I know that there are slight customs over there versus over here, and I've only spent a very limited amount of time over there, so I pretty much get all my England intel from just watching the shows that you're hosting.
Yeah.
Is there anything you miss about being over there?
A lot, I think when I played, I was there 13 years, and you're immersed in this incredible business and sport and lifestyle and culture, but it's taxing. It mentally and physically is taxing. And so I don't think you get to really enjoy, like I love London. I lived in Manchester, and I come away from it having been to London, all the time and think, God, what an amazing city. But I was so immersed in work for 13 years that did I enjoy London? Of course. I'd be lying to you if I didn't. But I have a lot of good friends over there. I miss the culture. The European culture is so very different than here in America. And I'm a full-blooded, proud American, but love Europe. I love Europe in every way.
When you go to a pub, and I'm sure you went to a few over there, do you have any panic pub orders, or what was your order when you went over there when it comes to food or drink or anything?
Gosh, I am. I'm a team player when it comes to drinking. So I usually when I was in the pub, it was whatever everybody was ordering. I wasn't going to deviate too far. So especially with teammates, when you go into a pub, everybody orders the same thing. And if you kind of go away from that, if everyone's drinking beer and you order a mixed drink, they look at you sideways. So, I was a team player. I'm usually not a follower, but in those settings, I'm just kind of just whatever. Normally it was an ale for the most part. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite pub over there that you went to? Because I might have to seek that out if you did.
Yeah, in my local village, we used to go. I lived in a place called Hale Barnes, and so there was this one called the Railway. It was just on the, ironically enough, near the railway station. So it was nice. They have these things called lock-ins, which we don't have in America, and they're the craziest thing ever. And they're called lock-ins, and basically when the pub closes, legally they have to kick everybody out, but they can lock the door and lock you in, and then it ends up getting chaotic and you drink till 4:00 in the morning. So had a few lock-ins as well.
That sounds wonderful. I do remember I was at like a Samuel Smith pub over there one time, and the second that the clock hit, I don't even know what it was. It was early. It was like 10 o'clock. They were just like they said, finish your beer. And in America, if they say last call, you can pretty much bet that you can stick around for like 30 more minutes. And the guy came over and he's like, hey, drink your beer right now.
They know how to do it. They know how to do it right.
I mean, yeah, it was all about efficiency. Something I find interesting about you, and something that I know that you've been an advocate for so long, is Tourette's. And I was watching an interview with you recently, and I heard you say that you wouldn't know what to do with yourself if you didn't have it. Can you kind of explain that for anyone out there who's not really familiar with it?
Sure. It comes down to self-love, right? We all have our idiosyncrasies. We all have our, at times, disabilities. We all have things that we would normally change about ourselves to make life somewhat easier. But I think once you figure out who you are, what you're about, what you stand for. My life is really good. That's probably an understatement. My life is amazing, and I don't want for anything. I've got two amazing kids, both healthy. Got an incredible job that I love. I mean, I'm passionate about my job. Not everyone gets to say that. So, being who I am, there's a couple of things that, when I was a teenager, I was thinking, well, this sucks, and I don't like this. But as time has gone on, it's who I am. It's who I've become. It's who I'm comfortable being. And yeah, it would be pretty different if I woke up tomorrow and didn't have the tics or the twitches or the things that I do that are associated with Tourette syndrome.
You've had experience with OCD as well, is that correct?
Mm, yeah.
Do you think that's aided in your preparations for certain things or the way that you go about certain situations?
Yeah, well, with Tourette syndrome comes associated disorders, and OCD is one of them oftentimes. And yeah, I think when I look back on my career, my ability to be uber focused on one task, and that task was simply getting on the training field, diet, sleep, hitting the weight room. I was so incredibly uber focused, and it was because of that compulsiveness that I felt. And so, there's a good side to all these things that are looked at negatively sometimes.
You just mentioned kids, and as some of our listeners know, and as you know, I just had my first son about 7 weeks ago. Do you have any advice for me?
Lots. I mean, look, I've got teenagers now, so that's a whole different ball game. I think there's when you're a new parent, you read all these books, right? And you take all this advice, and it's just like, oh, okay, I got this all figured out. And what you realize is you don't, and you protect your children and you shower them with massive amounts of love, and then the rest you just figure out. And I think it's really cool when I go back to that stage where you're at. So many changes so quickly. Their sleeping habits, their eating habits, the crawling, walking, talking. It's so incredibly special.
It's been an incredible experience overall, and it's just fun to just think about the future and think about, what I'm going to end up like doing with him in the future. And the one question that looms is, what position do I need to start him at playing when he gets on the soccer field?
It's an important question. One that does need a deep dive. Not goalkeeper, 100% not goalkeeper. Striker. I think strikers make all the money. Strikers where you can miss 10 shots a game, you score one, and then you're on the headlines of the newspaper, right? So striker's definitely something I wish I was.
Well, you did score a goal one time. I mean, you have experience up there.
That's a good point.
I know that when I was in high school, I split my time between right back and striker, and I always enjoyed playing striker a lot more. But unfortunately, I think I was much better at playing right back, so it was kind of a tough situation.
Same. I played on so many teams when I was younger. In high school, one of them I just thought, my coach was like, yeah, go play in the midfield, go play striker. Best years of my life.
I know we're dipping into some soccer questions, so I'm going to pause real quick so we can hear from one of this week's sponsors, and then we're going to hop into some more. Away is a modern lifestyle brand that creates thoughtful products for every traveler and every kind of trip. They started with the perfect suitcase, crafted with features that make travel more seamless, and now, when travel looks more different than ever before, you can always count on Away's range of suitcases, bags, and accessories whenever you take your next trip. Away suitcases have been something that I've been using for years now. I used them even before they sponsored this podcast, and they've been with me overseas, on long weekend trips anywhere, and just any time I leave town, there's an Away by my side. Whether it's a trip to the corner store, a weekend away, or an extended stay with friends and family, we're all navigating the current reality of travel. But no matter your destination or style, Away's suitcases, bags, and accessories all come in a variety of colors, sizes, and materials to suit your needs and inspire your future travels. I actually use the largest one that they offer, as well as the larger carry-on, both in green, so it looks pretty clean when I'm traveling. And every suitcase comes with an interior organization system that includes a built-in compression pad to help you pack in more, and a hidden and removable laundry bag that separates your dirty clothes. It's truly a game changer. It also has 4 360-degree spinner wheels that guarantee the smoothest roll, even through the most hectic airports and stations, and a TSA-approved combination lock that keeps all of your belongings safe. Away offers shipping and returns on any order within the contiguous United States, UK, Europe, and Canada, so there's no reason not to try it out. There's a 100-day trial on everything Away makes, so you can take the product out on the road, live with it, travel with it, even get lost with it for 100 days. And if you decide it's not for you, you can return any non-personalized item for a full refund during that period. No ifs, ands, or asterisks. Start your 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases, at awaytravel.com/Sunday. That's awaytravel.com/Sunday. All right, Tim, I got a question for you, and this is on the Sunday Scaries front. What's a scarier situation, going live on NBC for the first time, or a midweek league match start that you're walking out of the tunnel for?
Oh, first time on NBC on air, easily. It's, the games were something that almost came naturally after time. Television is a whole different ball game. So yeah, my knee, your knees start knocking when those lights come on and you're getting a count from the producer that we're live in 10 seconds.
Just the heart rate absolutely racing out of your chest. I can't imagine. I mean, when we record, I obviously do everything remotely, and I do everything, pre-recorded so we can edit anything out. And you're just thrown to the wolves out there.
Live TV is something, listen, you can mess up playing too, but live TV is something special.
These days, as everyone knows, you're behind the mic. You're talking to some big names out there. I mean, Inside the Mind with Tim Howard, I was going through some of those videos, and I've been watching them as they come out. And, I mean, you're talking to Ole Solskjaer, Pep Guardiola. I mean, these are big names. Marcus Rashford, who's, just taken over in England.
Amazing.
Carlo Ancelotti. I mean, do you get nerves at this point when you talk to people like that who you haven't played with or you haven't been, around the stadium with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, it's nerves because, once again, even though you can edit it, you're trying to get it right. You don't want to say the wrong things. You want the interview to be something that people can listen to. And you mentioned Marcus Rashford. That we need to pause. What an incredible human being this kid is. And I say kid because he's in his early 20s, and I could barely put one foot in front of the other at that point. And he's literally, curing childhood hunger over there. And so he's and oh, by the way, focusing on his day job and scoring 20 goals, a season. So it's pretty impressive. And for me, look, these big names, there's a mutual respect there because I was able to play the game at a certain level. I played with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which was, again, it also gave me I don't know him as a manager. And so I do this interview and I walk away from that thinking, wow, he's got such a grasp on that Manchester United dressing room. And there's such strength and positivity that you get when you interact with him that you don't necessarily get from watching him on the touchline.
It's funny. He was actually the first person that really got me into watching EPL. I got FIFA 99 on my N64, and I just started playing, and he was the go-to striker for the Man U side. That was the default side, and that's how I started following everything. And I'd play on beginner mode as a 12-year-old, just scoring 9 goals a game with him, and loved it. And so now that he's now that he's at the wheel, I'm in heaven over here. It's great.
Well, I actually had that conversation not long ago. When FIFA comes out, when you talk about this video game, right? And it's a video game. It means nothing. It's actually become an educational medium for, non-soccer players. I have friends in the NBA and the NFL who are now traveling to Europe to watch Barcelona and to exchange jerseys with Messi. And it's all because they play FIFA on video games. And it's absolutely amazing to think about the reach that has.
I actually watch games with. I watch games with people that hardly watch any soccer at all, and the way that they say the names, I'm like, you're actually nailing how you're saying that because you're hearing the announcers say it when you're playing online with your buddies.
It's so strange. It's incredible.
Do you play FIFA?
I'm terrible at video games, so no, I don't. I played against this gamer from New York City FC, and we're having an interview. He's running circles around me. I'm running the other way. He's scoring 10 goals. It doesn't come natural to me. So. Not a gamer at all.
When it comes to just performing at a high level, whether you're doing, work on television, whether you're preparing for a big match, preparation just plays such a huge role in terms of success. When it came to a big match, whether I guess the differences in preparation are probably vast when it comes to, a home game versus an away game or like a Champions League game somewhere else or whatever it may be. What would a normal lead up to a game look like for you when it came to preparation, when it came to meals, when it came to sleeping, and just trying to get your nerves right before taking the field?
Yeah, you look. the interesting part is, it's sports is one of those professions that just looks really glitzy and glamorous, and I suppose it is. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of boring times, and you need that, right? And so, the immediate prep, whether it be 48 hours or 24 hours, depending on whether you travel or not, lots of time spent in bed on the couch with your feet up, drinking more water than you knew you could actually consume. Getting your meals right, and then obviously your training preparation, particularly right before the game, is very minimal, right? Your game plan's already been put in place throughout the week, and now you're just tweaking little things and staying fresh. And so that was always it was kind of fun in terms of the workload was less, and you knew now you were ready for the game, but the mental side of the game was the hardest as you got closer to kickoff.
Is there as much nerves around team selection when it comes to being a goaltender versus being, a outfield player?
I suppose. I mean, I think, most managers who have any idea about the game now realize, the less you rotate your goalkeeper, the better, right? And so if you're the number one goalkeeper and you're at least doing the business somewhat, you should be playing every week, and that should be the goal. So less about team selection. You have a pretty good idea whether you're going to get selected or not if you're the number one goalkeeper. You should, as opposed to a midfielder where you have a lot more rotation, you're fighting and scrapping, every week, midweek in training to figure out, make sure that manager sees you.
My wife's absolute favorite part of any game that I make her watch is just watching the tunnel beforehand and seeing all the kids hanging out with the players and everything like that. Whether it was Old Trafford, Goodison Park, Azteca, wherever it could be. Can you describe or tell me how you comprehended those emotions when you're going through the tunnel for the first time and just getting that roar?
Yeah, it's not something many people experience. A lot of these tunnels, particularly in England, when you talk about some of the older stadiums, I played at Goodison Park, and the tunnel only fits one person, single file. Yet two teams are coming out, so you almost have to morph into this one line, and it gets pretty intense because oftentimes it's dark and you hear the roar of the crowd and you're walking closer towards it with every step, and it's pretty daunting, but it's also exciting because sometimes, especially when you go to a new stadium where it's a big match, you're playing Liverpool or Manchester United or Chelsea, you feel it, you sense it, and so it's like you love that energy. If you're a competitor, you thrive off that energy.
What away stadium had the absolute worst locker rooms that you ever played in?
A lot, in England, because you just think some of the new stadiums think, oh, they're brilliant and they have all the outlets and the USB plugs. But the old school stadiums are just benches and a hook on the wall. I remember going to Liverpool, which is our big rival, and Anfield is this cathedral of a football ground, and there's wooden benches, metal hook behind you for your jersey, and then when you go through, it's all old broken tile, and when you go through to the showers, there's this big plunge bathtub that they fill up with hot water, and it's kind of communal, and it's very, very primitive.
You call it a day. Yeah, I mean, I listen. So my favorite podcast is that Peter Crouch podcast, which is just absolutely taken over there. It's just the banter on that podcast is unmatched. It is so good. Yeah. And I was recently listening to, I think it was, I don't know what episode it was, but he was talking about how they installed cots in Anfield for Champions League games, so there wasn't any issue getting in or anything like that. Yeah. And I was just thinking, I don't know how I could perform at a high level if I was sleeping on a cot the night before a big game.
You'd be surprised.
When you have a big match, and let's say you win the big match. What does the post-match celebration look like once you've left the stadium, and even more importantly, what does the morning after look like for those days?
It was funny. I throughout my career, for whatever reason, I just never made too many post-game plans. It was my reward after a game. I would, and I'm not even a big beer drinker, even though we had a conversation about pubs and lock-ins. I would always want a cold beer and a hot bath, and I'd finish the game. I'd go into where the showers were and jump, and the baths would be already drawn, and I jump in a hot bath and a cold beer, and it was like the end of a work week, and more often than not, I'd get home, put my feet up, probably have a nice whiskey, but not a whole lot. Every now and again, you had a morning after be a little bit heavy. But I didn't like to make any plans. I was a downer. Like if we lost, if I didn't play good, I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I couldn't just put it in my rearview mirror. I wallowed in it and I allowed myself to do so for about a day.
I think that's probably how I probably would have handled it that way. Even if we won the game, I'd probably beat myself up over the things that I didn't do well.
Of course.
Who's your dream jersey swap with?
Oh, my dream jersey swap. I mean, it has to be Ronaldo or Messi. I played against both maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Ronaldo a little bit more because we played in the Premier League. And I'm a goalkeeper. Nobody wants to change shirts with me. So, it's one of those things where unless I have like a real good friend, then they'll give me their jersey. But those guys would be like, I mean, it's like gold dust. You could retire off of getting one of their jerseys, But yeah, they're pretty special.
Is there a race from all the guys to go to one player that they want, and like they're just trying to jockey at the end of a match to go over there and do it?
Oh yeah, you can't even imagine. There's guys who would set the table before the game, like complete bluff, and be like, "Oh yeah, my best friend my friend who plays at Barcelona spoke to Messi, said he's going to give me his shirt," and you're thinking, "No, he didn't," but that just kind of calls off the wolves a little bit, and then makes sure everyone else doesn't go there. Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely chaotic.
I love that idea. Just fanboying over your peers. It's just the best.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you have any notable jerseys in your collection that mean something special to you, or mean more than others?
I have a brilliant jersey collection. I think it's one of the great signs of respect in all of sports, and I think you see now NFL players doing it, NBA players are doing it. But in soccer, it's normal. Take your jersey off after the game and swap it, after a battle. And I just think it's brilliant. And I have some amazing ones. I have a Wayne Rooney from when we played England in the World Cup. I've got Gigi Buffon, who's the great Italian goalkeeper, Iker Casillas, the great Spanish goalkeeper of Real Madrid. So yeah, the list goes on. And I've got some really cool ones in the closet. Literally hundreds, and I always kept them for most of my games. So you can imagine I probably have about 500 jerseys at least.
Oh, see, I could not be more jealous. I think the one that you named that I think would do the best in my closet that I probably wouldn't let many people touch or see would probably be that Rooney jersey from a World Cup game.
I mean, it's priceless. It really is. To me, it's priceless.
Well, I'm going to stop pestering about soccer, and when we come back after our next sponsor, I'm going to ask you some traditional Sunday questions. To celebrate pride in a meaningful way, Vizzy Hard Seltzer created a labelless can to reinforce the beauty of loving our unique personal identity and living beyond pre-assumed labels. The limited edition pack was created in partnership with the Human Rights Campaign. Vizzy is more than just a hard seltzer with antioxidant vitamin C. Vizzy celebrates inclusion and has donated $1 million to the Human Rights Campaign over 3 years to support their fight for LGBTQ+ equality. There are plenty of hard seltzers to choose from, but with its bold and delicious dual fruit flavors, antioxidant vitamin C, and commitment to equality, Vizzy makes the choice a little bit easier and a lot tastier. They've got several different flavors that include pineapple mango, black cherry lime, strawberry kiwi, even some new flavors like papaya passion fruit, watermelon strawberry, blackberry lemon, and raspberry tangerine. And Vizzy also has a lemonade hard seltzer in 4 delicious flavors: watermelon, peach, raspberry, and strawberry, all with that same antioxidant vitamin C. I've been enjoying the lemonade hard seltzers more than I can probably admit on this podcast, but it's been the perfect poolside companion this summer as I'm getting back into things, and the antioxidant vitamin C is extracted from superfruit acerola cherry that has 30 times more vitamin C than a cup of orange. Upgrade your hard seltzer to Vizzy. To find out where you can purchase Vizzy's limited edition Pride packaging or any of their other refreshing flavors, go to VizzyHardSeltzer.com/washed. That's VizzyHardSeltzer.com/washed, and to get updates on their latest flavor drops and more, sign up for their emails at VizzyHardSeltzer.com/subscribe. That's VizzyHardSeltzer.com/subscribe. Must be 21 or older. All right, Tim, you ready for some Sunday questions that I ask every guest?
Yes.
You've probably prepared decently for these since you've listened to a couple of them.
I have to be ready. I hope I'm ready.
What's your ideal Sunday outfit?
A hoodie and shorts, rainbow sandals.
That's a phenomenal answer. I think one of my favorite things in the world is a climate where you can wear a sweatshirt and a pair of shorts. It's just the perfect. Yes. It's the perfect feeling relaxation outfit.
Amazing.
I was doing it this morning actually. I stayed out a little. We had our first date last night since having the baby, and we stayed out a little later than normal. And all morning I just kind of sat around wearing some Lulu shorts and a sweatshirt, and it was perfect.
Good for you.
Do you drink coffee? And if so, how do you take your coffee?
Yeah, I drink coffee every morning. I'm one of those strange people who drink iced coffee, whether it's warm outside or it's freezing cold. I always have an iced coffee.
It's been a routine of mine to really do the same thing, but there's something that's changed in the last few months, and I've been drinking more hot coffee when I'm in the house, and
Uh-huh.
then the second I leave the place, I just immediately turn on the iced coffee.
Yes. Yeah, and look, I mean, a cup of warm coffee makes you feel good. So every now and again, I'll go back to it.
I never understood how amazing tea could be until we went over to the UK, and
Oh
for
gosh.
pretty we went over right before everything locked down, and
Hmm.
I pretty much drank tea exclusively throughout all of quarantine because it just was so comforting and nice, and I had no idea how much I would actually like it.
Well, you get away from it, and then you go to England, and someone offers you a cup of tea, and they put a little milk in it, and a little sugar, and you're like, "This has changed my life. Why don't I drink this every day?" And you eventually get out of the routine, but yeah.
It's just great. When you're trying to unwind on a Sunday, do you have any movies or TV shows that you default to?
I mean, New Girl is just my go-to show anytime. Movies, not so much, not so much. I'm more television than anything. New Girl's my thing.
New Girl has been our late night show, or our, I guess, throughout the day show for when we're doing baby stuff, and we just need some television to distract us in the background a little
Yes,
bit during feedings and stuff. And it's truly been the perfect way to spend 22 minutes at a time trying to distract from the tougher parts of parenthood.
it is. It's perfect. And I will say this: I'll put HGTV on a Sunday, just doing household chores,
Hmm.
and it kind of you just peek up every now and again.
Yeah, it's a little motivating.
Yes,
If I opened your refrigerator right now, what would I find in there?
not a lot. I don't keep. Look, I live by myself. I don't really cook. I eat out most meals. You find some condiments in there. You find some banana peppers, some salsa, honey mustard, bottles of water, but it's pretty empty.
That pretty much sounds like what anyone's refrigerator looks like when I imagine them in New York. I just feel like that's a
Yeah,
classic New Yorker refrigerator.
perfect, perfect. The world's your oyster. Right? You go outside, downstairs, you have everything.
We've kind of talked about a few of these things, so I think your answer might be just kind of the ones that we talked about, like crossword puzzles and things like that. But what are your coping mechanisms? What kind of things relax you?
Yeah, candle, fireplace, crossword. Mindlessly scrolling through social media, which is I think what everyone does nowadays. But I like working out, love working out. So that kind of gets me. That kind of gets me in a place that, when I'm stressed, that's what I do.
Oh yeah. And what's on your bedside table?
Hmm. Probably one of the candles you sent me, because that's just where immediately where they went. Not much, not much. I have a box that I keep my jewelry in, but that's about it.
Hey, minimalism's in. So if as long as there's
Amen.
just a Sunday Scaries candle there, I'm good with it. And the final question: what does your ideal Sunday consist of?
uh, Getting out of bed very late, a little bit of breakfast, and then having zero plans throughout that day. Absolutely none. Lounging around, probably doing laundry, which I despise. I'm good at putting it in, changing it over, and then it just usually sits in the dryer for a couple days.
If it wasn't for having a highly motivated wife, I think that I would probably use my dryer as just my dresser, my dresser drawers all the time. But I can't get away with that anymore. It's tough.
I can appreciate that.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hop on the podcast. I hope this isn't the last time we hear from you over on this side of things. Anything you want to talk about going forward for your immediate plans in the near future?
No, man, this is just what you keep doing what you're doing because everyone's delighted and buzzing off, and all my friends they can't get enough of the memes.
Well, that means a lot. I'm glad you hopped on. It's been fun.
Thanks, well, I appreciate it.
All right. All right. And just like that, we're done.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Man.
Yeah, dude, I
appreciate it.
really appreciate you coming out and doing this. This was fun. I'm gonna be watching you closely during these Euros.
Yeah, for sure. We kick off tomorrow, man. So, but we'll touch base. You have my number, so let's do it. And obviously, if you get to New York, I don't know if you'll be out this way or Austin. I feel like Austin could be in my plans soon.
You got to get down here. You got to come to an Austin FC game or something.
Yeah. And my buddy's a guy I play with is the coach, Josh Wolf, and Claudio Reyna is the sporting director.
Yeah.
Who again, is a friend of mine. So, all right, cool.
You have all the
That's
excuses in the world to come down here. You need to make it happen.
I definitely do. I definitely do. All right, let's do it.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yes. If you liked what you heard today, make sure to subscribe, review, or tell a friend in need about this podcast. By subscribing, you guarantee that each and every episode gets delivered directly to your phone every Sunday morning. You can also follow along on Twitter at Sunday Scaries and Instagram, which is at Sunday.Scaries, or you can follow me on both Twitter and Instagram at Will DeFreeze. And remember, always trim the wicks on your scented candles. See you next Sunday.